Hello, my name is Brandon Ray, and today I'll be taking you through a network analysis of authors' tendencies to cite Stanley Milgram's small world experiment. Stanley Milgram was a social psychologist who is best known for originating the concepts behind the 6 degrees of separation. So you can see how understanding how authors cite his works could give us a deeper understanding about the community. Our analysis starts with the Yi-Fan-Hu layout. This allows us to see the closeness and betweenness of all the connections within the network. Understanding that the degree range that we're worried about is going to be more than one citation. We then start to look at the network diameter. This is a statistical analysis that we're able to do with Gehpi to be able to see that the larger the node, the more connections that it has. And voila, once we're able to color it, we see that our first piece of analysis, our first understanding pops out. You see the little loop? That is a self loop. That self loop means that the author actually cited themselves. Now this was enlightening to me because we always have the question, can I actually cite myself? So as we begin to isolate the major node from the middle of the cluster, we start to make the self loop a little more evident. Applying labels allows us to see that Stanley Milgram is the culprit for this node. Now this doesn't do much for us because we understand that that's the basis of our analysis. So the best thing to do next is to delete that node and repeat the process. By using different layouts such as the expansion layout and the no overlap layout, we are starting to get to the root of our analysis. We see two distinct groups or communities beginning to exist. From this final analysis, you can see that there are two distinct communities that are generated. Now this makes sense because authors within those communities can often be found citing each other. Now with this graph, we don't necessarily understand what those communities are, however we know that they exist. So this generates a roadmap for us to be able to go and do research. What we find is that those communities are split between sociology and mathematics. We see that Jeffrey Travers and Mark Grenovier mostly focus on sociology, social aspects of how networks come together and how they work. We also see that Duncan Watts takes a more mathematical approach in understanding algorithms as they are presented and how those networks come together. So that will conclude the analysis in seeing that not only does Stanley Milgram's citation generate the beginnings of the 6 degrees of separation, but it also sparked communities to approach those 6 degrees in two totally different ways. And my assumption is that as we go forward, we'll see more authors such as Mark Grenovier starting to be a hybrid and understand it from both aspects. Thank you.